Gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Mi Gente on Air. I am your host today, Larry Rodarte. It's been a while since I've been in the studios. A lot of things have been happening, and I wasn't able to make it in the last 2 weeks. So I want to apologize to my listeners out there, but we're back, and I'm going to try to keep on schedule as we go into the month of February and March and April, leading up to, of course, Cinco de Mayo, which is one of the Latino events that happens every year. That's one of our big premier events. But you hear a lot of talk right now in regard to the Memorial Cup that's coming at the end of May as well, with the Spirit Hockey team and the Canadians that are going to be coming to our area, to the Saginaw area. So we're going to talk a lot about that actually tonight. And my guest is Jimmy Greene. A lot of people know Jimmy Greene in the community, and he's heading up a division in terms of bringing people together to come to the Memorial Cup. So it's really important that we talk about that tonight and we get informed and we get the information from Jimmy of all that's happening and coming up for the Memorial Cup. So please come into the room, join us. If you got a question or you got a concern, put it in the chat room and we'll try to address it tonight here as we continue on with the fourth year of Mi Gente on Air.
Welcome to Mi Gente on Air on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com. Now, here is your host, Larry Rodarte.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Mi Gente on Air. I am your host, Larry Rodarte, and I am happy to be with you tonight. It's been a while since I've been here in the room, and I'm apologizing to my listeners because I know that you want new material on Sunday nights for Mi Gente on Air, and life happens, and it's been about 2 weeks, so I do want to apologize. But we're moving into the month of February, and we'll be in March, April, May. Spring's going to come around real quick, and there's a great event that's happening at the end of May, and it's called the Memorial Cup, and it's coming to Saginaw. And tonight here, I've asked a good friend of mine. His name is Mr. Jimmy Greene, and many of you know of him. He's going to be our guest talking all about the Memorial Cup because he's the sales director for the Memorial Cup coming at the end of May into June. And we need to know about this as a community, as the Latino community. We need to know what's happening in our great city of Saginaw, and we're going to be positive and move forward with this as we come into the month of May. So please help me welcome the one and only Mr. Jimmy Greene.
I like that one and only.
The one and only Jimmy. There's nobody like you out there.
Thank God.
I think between you and like Bridget, Luby, Staffolino, and there's a few other ones, you are the big cheerleaders of Saginaw, right?
Yeah, I would love it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Jimmy, I know you. There's a lot of people that do know you in the community, but there are maybe some of my listeners that may not know who you are and what your role is, in Saginaw. And you've been a big proponent of Saginaw and all that's been happening for many, many years. So please tell my listeners who you are and where you come from.
Sure. Well, I first of all, thank you. And I think the best title you gave me today was your friend when you said my friend, Jimmy Greene. And we do have a long history, and I certainly want that noted. But I was born and raised in Flint, but I got here in 1980, so I'm no newbie here, and I was a young man, 21 years of age, fresh out of school. And I always say I was born in Flint, but I was raised in Saginaw. Although I think I still think I'm being raised, if you know what I mean. But I've been a long proponent. I was adopted as a surrogate son by the late great Henry Marsh, who was the first Black mayor in Saginaw. He took a liking to me, and I will honestly say he really shaped what turned out to be my community service here. Henry always said that we should treat the deposit like a bank. And there will be times where you want to withdraw from this community, whether that's in sales or any number of vehicles, but you got to make sure you deposit into it first. And depositing into our community is always relevant because it's community service that we do, boards we serve on, the things that we don't get gratification from monetarily. but they are deposits. And so I looked at, and I think I've been on 26 board of directors around the region.
Wow.
So yeah, I started my career at Second National Bank, and ultimately I was at Merrill Lynch, and then I was at ABC for the last 15 years as CEO and president. And then I decided to leave ABC because I wanted to really kind of do my own thing. But all along, I've still been engaged in the community. But before I could really launch my own company, my Jimmy Greene and Associates, my really good friend Dick Garber approached me and talked to me about a Memorial Cup. Now, I've been a season ticket holder for the Saginaw Spirit for the last 13 years. My daughters have literally grown up with the Saginaw Spirit. And ironically enough, all three of them work here for the Saginaw Spirit. So not only did they grow up, but they're actually working for the Saginaw Spirit. So the Memorial Cup is very unique. And I want to emphasize the word memorial because it is a national championship of the Canadians. And it's representative of three major junior ice hockey teams out of three divisions. And Memorial was designed to reflect and represent and honor those Canadians back in 1919 who died fighting for Canada. Now, subsequently, they made it the memorial for any Canadian who had died fighting for the Canadians. So when they say memorial, they mean that. It's not just like a traditional sports trophy like we over here in America we do with the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. This is really their championship of the championships. So you have three of these teams who will be champions, and then there's a host, which is the Saginaw Spirit. We belong to the OHL. So you'll wind up in a nutshell having four teams, four champions, all competing to be the champion. It's a 10-day event. It's a round robin. Each of them will play each other. There's a points awarded in that system. And then ultimately on June 2nd, you're going to have a final that matches up the two best CHL teams for that championship, which is the Memorial Cup.
Wow, that's
Oh,
quite a lot. You know how because the Saginaw Spirit team now is what 20 years old.
22 years. Yep, 22 years old.
Yeah, and so this is a first for Saginaw that this is happening, and I'm old enough to remember the Saginaw Gears and all that. I don't know what how their involvement was with the Memorial Cup.
It was.
Yeah, and so I want to know how does a team, relatively new team like Saginaw win? I mean, what was the process to win the Memorial Cup to come here?
Let me put that in perspective. This thing, I mentioned that date, 1919. Mm-hmm. So they've been playing this Memorial Cup through all these wars since 1919, right? It's only been held in the United States 3 times. Wow. The last time was almost 30 years ago in Spokane. Prior to that, it was held in Portland and in Seattle. It has never, ever been held east of the Mississippi. And look at us, little old Saginaw winning a Memorial Cup. I wish people could keep that in perspective when you look at those 3 cities, first of all, 30 years ago. When you look at the Canadian cities like Toronto and Montreal and all these different huge cities in Canada that have hosted this, and little old Saginaw. You know what's funny to me isn't it ironic that maybe there are people outside of Saginaw who think better of us than we do? Because it wasn't like we weren't competing with other big cities.
Right.
We were. And we won it. We won the Memorial Cup. But think about the NCAA championship, that March Madness. That's just a weekend. Look how many people come to that. So that's kind of a championship as well. This is way different than that. We're going to be hosting Canadians over here like you would not believe. But not just that. They're going to be coming from the NHL. The CHL puts more people in the NHL than any other division or any other vehicle. So it's a kind of a farm club, if you will, for talent to the NHL.
Right. Well, that's just pretty remarkable to me to know and know that Saginaw, is at the table and is able to be, this host organization, because I'm sure there's specifications that we as a city has to meet in order for it to be played out here on this 10-day, Memorial Cup. What would you say, are some of the specifications that you know of?
Well, I've been saying this over and over, and I mean it. I think this is what the Memorial Cup has done, and I get in a little bit of a trouble when I say this, but it doesn't make it less true. People, when they hear it, they don't like to hear it, but it doesn't make it less true. I think what the Memorial Cup did and the Canadians did was they created something we don't do, and that's make us one zip code. That's really it in a nutshell. The city of Saginaw could not have won it on its own accord. But let me say this too. Midland could not have won this on its own. Bay City couldn't have won it on its own. Saginaw Township couldn't have. It literally took a regional opportunity to look at some of the jewels that we have inside the city of Saginaw, and they looked at all the surroundings. So if you look at Thanksgiving as an example, we were the turkey. We're the turkey in a good way. Saginaw City's the turkey. That's the home of the Saginaw spirit. And what we did was put all these wonderful little dressings around that turkey, and that's what this community did. And so when you look at the picture, the bid specifications, we don't have a hotel downtown. Let's be frank. We got 4 huge teams coming in with all their families, all their fans. We don't have a hotel. Now, you can look at that as a negative. I look at it as a possibility, because if we do this right, Larry, what's ultimately going to happen, and I'll talk a little bit about this with Hoyt Park later, is we're going to have to start looking at ourselves and say, what do we have to do from this point forward to win on our own accord? What can Saginaw do? So we've had to host these teams in Frankenmuth over that 10-day period of time, or it'd actually be more like 13 days. And so we had to use that. They'll be staying there, but they'll be coming into the city of Saginaw. Some of the scouts, some of the team members, families, they'll be staying out on Tittabawassee at that hotel. They'll be staying at Doubletree in Bay City. And of course, we'll be looking at the H Hotel as well in Midland. So when you look at us as a whole, and even Birch Run now has stepped up, and they're really pushing forward a great effort to have people stay in Birch Run. Also, everybody can come right into the hub of this region, and that's the city of Saginaw.
Right, right. Well, I think that's what makes us a stronger area when and I know that's part of what Matt Fallon does over there at the Great Lakes Bay Alliance as well. And when we are a bigger region of inclusiveness of Bay City, Midland,
Yep.
even Mount Pleasant,
Yep.
in the casino and all. But I think that makes us a greater community.
Yeah,
And
I was just with Eric Rodriguez today,
oh yeah,
with the tribe. He talked about exactly the same thing. Sometimes we forget Isabella is such a jewel in our region as well too. We got to get used to saying that too. So I'm glad you brought that up.
absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. So Mi Gente on Air, we target this show for the Latino community.
Sure.
Although we have a lot of non-Latinos who listen to find out about our contributions as well. So how
Yep.
is it in your role as sales director for the Memorial Cup? How has it been for you to say reach out to the Latino community?
Oh, and this isn't for me. What's cool about that is I'm not reaching out to the Latino community for a first time. I like to consider myself always part of the family. I mean, when I think about how well vested I've been, and that's one of the things about what I meant earlier when I said depositing into the community. You remember years ago, when you and I and Monica Reyes sat down and talked about the Hispanic Leadership Group.
Yes.
That was our triangle. That was our tripod. Nobody else supported it. Nobody else knew it. We knew how important it was, though. I had already started Savalti, the Saginaw Valley African American Leadership Group, and we knew that we had to go beyond just that and really put a tripod up, because they already had white leadership groups, but we had a black one, and now we needed a Latino. And so we did that. We created something in there, and I've always been immersed in the Latino community. When we started doing Christmas with the Angels, same thing. I've never not been a part of Christmas with the Angels, not just from a volunteer standpoint, but a monetary contributor as well too. I'm not new to the Latino community by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm very comfortable there, very comfortable talking, making sure that there's access and opportunity. I'm not remiss on the idea that I'm a black man in a white sport, in a white organization, in a white industry. But that for me, I've already been very comfortable in, because all it's done for me is allow me access and opportunity to open doors for Black and brown. I've done that in skilled trades. I've done that in sports. I've done that in boardrooms. I've done that in leadership programs. So I'm never ever going to be reminded of my responsibility back to Black and brown in our community. Not ever.
Yeah, and I want to thank you. During Christmas with Angels, you gave out tickets to many of the Latino
Oh,
families
so cool.
that were there, and that was so nice to see. A whole family of mom
Oh
and
yeah,
dad,
it was
maybe
amazing.
3, 4 kids, and they were all excited to attend a hockey game.
They had a ball.
Parents.
They'll be
Yeah,
coming to the Memorial Cup, because one of the things I did, so I met with the lead group in particular. I've met with Bobby De Leon and everybody, and you and I have a very close relationship. There isn't a single aspect of the Latino community that will not be populated into that Memorial Cup. We reached out. We've got food trucks as well. This is a 10-day event, so we wanted to make sure that the Memorial Cup, when the Canadians come in here, that it's imperative that it looks like the city. And our city is not just white. Our city is not just black. It's not just brown. I mean, we truly are as diverse of a community as there is. And so that Memorial Cup inside the stadium, let me make that clear, has to look like Saginaw, and it will.
right, and that's I think where we talk about everybody coming to the table and in the unity and all, and that's one of the things that as chairman of the Cinco de Mayo, the annual Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
It has through the years. We're going on our 45th year now of
I
doing the
know.
parade and the festival, but it has been a challenge, I will say. As the chairman, I can say this, that sometimes it has been a challenge to have other communities involved with us with the Cinco de Mayo. They think automatically, well, that's just Hispanic community. But I think times are changing. The pendulum has shifted a little and all. And I know that, like, for the parade last year, it was really nice. The weather was beautiful, but it was really
Yeah.
nice to see that so many walks from all walks were coming to enjoy the parade on Washington for Cinco de Mayo. And I think, that's where, I'm want to be involved in reaching out and, participating in the Memorial Cup, because I think it makes us a greater community when we're all involved and there's diversity like that. So, that's kind of my thinking. That's why I invited you here on
Yeah.
the show today, because I was getting hit up with a lot of questions about the Memorial Cup myself. And I said, I got to reach out to Jimmy and say, Jimmy, come on the show and let's talk Memorial Cup. So I'm so
And
glad
every
you're
time,
here. Thank you
and
so
every
much.
time you reach out, I say yes.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So thank you. But isn't that funny how even at Christmas with Angels, and I just mentioned to you about the tickets and the hockey thing, and you came right to bat and you said, hey, I got tickets. We'll invite them in. And so I'm pretty sure I know, at least at my table there, everybody went and ran and got tickets, and you were out and you
They
had to go
did.
get more.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, they showed it was great. I mean, I don't think people, and I don't say this to be facetious or dismissive, I don't think people truly appreciate what that feels like, because there's monetary gain in that. I mean, just watching these young kids in particular. Look, you and I are at an age where I only wish we could have had that access and opportunity. So, let's be honest, sometimes we have to live vicariously through our young people. And I mean, I only wish that I had had somebody like a me or a you that says, hey, would you like to ice skate? And I'll tell you, one of the remnants of this Memorial Cup is that we're doing that. We actually have Dick Garber and Craig Goslin have a setup. We have a urban hockey association that will come as a result of this. So black and brown kids who don't know how to ice skate will be provided ice skates and ice skating opportunities out at Saginaw Bay. So that'll be a fun thing too. And you think about it, tennis wasn't our thing, and golf wasn't our thing, and a whole lot of things weren't our thing until we started making them our thing. And I would suggest that when they become our thing, we excel at them. So who knows? Maybe in our lifetime we'll see a whole bunch of black and brown kids out on the ice with the Saginaw Spirit. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was thinking about even in the Lions. We've just come off of almost making it to the Super Bowl, but they're Malcolm Rodriguez is a football player, number 44, and
Yeah.
I was thinking, wow, that's so awesome, and we need to feature him so that other kids can see, a
Yep.
Latino as well on that that winning Lions team. Even though they lost that game, they were a winning team this year, as far as I'm concerned. So that it's
Sure.
wonderful to see how, like I say, we are getting in much more involved and all. But give me a rundown of what's going to happen the week of the Memorial Cup. Then, because you said I thought it was only 7 days. It's actually 10 days.
Oh yeah, and I say 13 because there are 2 days of prep before that and the day after on like June 3rd, for example. So it's 10 days of physical activities. So there'll be a parade that comes in that brings the Memorial Cup in. It'll be picked up in Birch Run. It'll come down 75, down 675, exit off the Jefferson Street exit. It'll be met with a band. Now it's coming in with military transport too, just so you know, and state police.
Wow.
Oh yes, a huge deal. The trophy will be coming in that way. We've invited the governor. We don't know if the governor will be coming in with the transport or meet us at the Joe Park. So it'll be coming in. The parade will go down Washington, down to either Johnson or Genesee. We still got some permitting we have to do, but it'll come down either one of those and then ultimately wind up in the park. The teams will be there, all 4 teams. Coaches will introduce them. It's going to be, and that's all free, mind you. All of that's free.
Wow. So like anybody who may consider, I mean, it's an actual parade.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So
parade.
anybody who has, built a float for Cinco de Mayo, you might want to actually save it for the end of May,
Yeah.
uh, to be in that parade,
Yeah. Oh,
and vice versa. But I really would love to see like the Memorial Cup and the mascots, for the Saginaw Spirits to be involved in the Cinco de Mayo parade on May the 4th.
yeah. What's funny about what you're saying is that everything's a possibility because let's face it, nobody's done it before. So we're really setting precedent here. We don't have a template to work from. So every day there's something new, something exciting, something different that comes along. You can't do everything, but you can do some things, and some things that have never been done before is critical. Like for example, I negotiated with Stars. Stars has been amazing. Anybody who's riding the bus in the city of Saginaw who wants to come to anybody riding the bus in Saginaw who wants to come to the Memorial Cup will do so free of charge. There is no bus fare coming to the Memorial Cup. Now, that may not mean a lot for people who got change in their pocket, but it means a lot for people who want to come down and see the Memorial Cup and have to pinch pennies in order to do that. The transportation's free. We've got Stars to extend their hours. They'll be going into Old Town past SVRC. Stars have stepped up and they have really put on their best Sunday best. And I couldn't be more proud of an organization than they are.
Wow, that's so nice to hear for Saginaw. It really is.
It
And
is.
one of the things I think that I want to throw out before we go into commercials, I just want to ask, how will the Memorial Cup actually affect the Saginaw community into the future?
Well, that's a good question. That's probably going to take us after you. But let me just start there with Stars. You remember, and we are old enough to remember that when company was coming over, mom and dad always said, "What? Clean up your room. Company's coming, right?" Well, that was always a double-edged sword. Why? Because after company left, the thing you got back was, "How come you can't keep your room clean all the damn time?" And so I really think seriously, I think that's Saginaw's question, and I think that's our answer that we're going to ultimately wind up having to address. Why can't we keep our room clean all the time? I just talked about extended bus hours. I talked about opportunities that are happening with entrepreneurialism. We're going to be opening up so many doors. Why did they have to close on June 3rd when the Canadians come back home? We still have Midlandites, Bay City folks out in the townships who still come into the Saginaw Spirit and watch games. Why do they have to go back home after that? Why don't we have more vibrant restaurants downtown? There are some things I can only pose a question to, but let's be honest. It's imperative that the city answer those questions. We put hockey on the ice. That's what we do. We put players on the ice. We have a merchandise booth. That's really all we can physically and monetarily control. But we've opened up a lot of eyes, a lot of possibilities. So my question is, okay, so what's your responsibility? And I'm talking about to our city leaders, for example. What are you doing? I should be asking that question. What are you doing with all this traffic, all this money, $25, $30 million coming into the city? Do we look the same as we did before the Cup? I mean, shame on us if we do.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that it's imperative that I think it's something that I've always said. When you include music and good food, your events are always going to be successful. And
Yeah,
that's something I really think that downtown Saginaw, we need, like you said, we need more places to eat and, celebrate. SVRC does a great job with a lot of their events over there and all. But I think we need more. And that's something that I think, hopefully, the leaders in our community will hear this message that you and I are talking about here tonight, because I think it's imperative. We just don't have
I'll
enough
answer,
of that.
yeah, I'll answer some more of that after the commercial break.
Okay. All right. Well, here we are. We're talking with the great Jimmy Greene. He is the sales director of the Memorial Cup that's coming to Saginaw, Michigan at the end of May. So please join us as we return. No te vayas.
You're listening to Gente on Air on WSGW.
So we're back here on the Facebook live stream talking to the audience, and I want to make sure that there are those out there. I see people in the room and all. If you've got a question in regards to the Memorial Cup, please put it on here. There may be something that other people have, are questioning as well. We've got Jimmy Greene. He is a part of this whole big deal. He's a big part of it, sales director for the Memorial Cup. And, if you've got a question, please put it here in the room, because this is how we as a community also get involved, by knowing and having the knowledge of, who maybe we need to contact or all. I know that the Spirit office is over there on State Street. And I say that only because that's where I picked up my application for Mr. Petito Man to be one of the food trucks that's involved in the Memorial Cup. And so I'm excited about that. And so, if you have a question, put it out here in the room. And, if you want to make a comment or what have you, please do so. Don't be shy. Jimmy's a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. And we can definitely try to address it here. Here.
Because that's really what it's about too. I mean, this has never been done before. And just to follow up, because I didn't want to be remiss when I talked about this, but every day during that Memorial Cup, the Joke Park will be open, and we're going to be doing a whole bunch of things. Like, there's a concert every single day that's free of charge as well.
Wow.
There's skill games out there. The Hall of Fame will be out there, the Hockey Hall of Fame. We have so much stuff that's happening every single day, and again, it'll be running from 4:00 up until 9:30, and then we have shuttles that'll be taking people from the arena into Old Town. We work with the Old Town restaurants. They will go past SVRC. We're encouraging, people like Valerie's, for example. She's been amazing to stay open later, to capitalize on that traffic. And again, what's important too, Larry, is we're going to be back in September. It's not like the Memorial Cup is there, it's gone. We have to drop a puck again in September. So my question, why do we have to be on our best behavior just because the Canadians are coming over here? Why aren't we doing that in September 24? Why don't we continue to do that and make our businesses in Old Town and City of Saginaw? What happened to the Bancroft and that little restaurant right there? We have to really introspectively look at ourselves and go, what opportunity are we missing here that we can capitalize on in September to ensure that we have a vibrant and thriving downtown Saginaw?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know what? You've got to save that whole thought. That should have been in part of the show here. We're on the live stream, and I want to make sure that was a great answer. And so I want to make sure that's part of our show as well. So we're going to go back into the show, and we're going to talk more about the Memorial Cup with Mr. Jimmy Greene.
This is Gente on Air on WSGW.
Welcome back, mi gente. I am your host this evening, Larry Rodarte, on Mi Gente on Air, where we talk about Latino contributions, concerns, and culture. And tonight we're talking about something that's going to affect everybody in Saginaw, and that's the Memorial Cup coming at the end of May and into June for 10 days. And I have Mr. Jimmy Greene here with us tonight, and he is the sales director, and we're going to talk everything about Memorial Cup here on Mi Gente on Air. And Jimmy, tell me a little bit about what we discussed here on the Facebook chat room here. Tell me a little bit about, in terms of Saginaw and having, the restaurants like Valerie's. You mentioned Valerie's, which is a great restaurant in downtown Saginaw. How are they going to participate and get involved?
Well, that's one of the things that we're going to be doing too, just so you know. And we're encouraging people, especially businesses in particular, to go register with Go Great, which is the Visitor and Conventions Bureau website in a nutshell. We're going to be pointing people to places like Valerie's. That it's funny because there are so many restaurants that very few people know about, and we're going to be helping them and stimulating them with the city of Saginaw to stay open during this time. So we have shuttles that'll be taking people. Stars is going to be running until 2:30. Let me repeat that, 2:30. So, taking people so they don't even have to move their cars. They can leave the hockey arena, hop on the shuttle, go all the way down to, Washington. Maybe Valerie's is open for a late night dinner after these games, or SVRC, some of their vendors are, or they go into Old Town, for example, where they're open. The bars are open, the restaurants are open. We're encouraging everybody because, look, these people stay open. Why? With traffic. So we're bringing the traffic to you. It would be really crazy for us not to capitalize on that kind of traffic. But here's the other beauty. The beauty is that you got people coming from Midland and Bay City and other communities that surround us, Bertrand, Flint. Flint is a huge hockey town, whether people know it or not. We got a lot of people visiting us. What we want, it's not the Canadians. They're going to go back home. What about the people who come back to our games in September? Where are they going to go? Are they just going to go back home? Part of the reason, Larry, that we have a dead downtown is because we're not keeping them down there. What we're doing with the Memorial Cup is auditioning, literally showing that there are restaurants down there, places to hang out and have a beer, come back, park your car, go back across the bridge. We want to keep people there because I believe that that's how you rebuild a Saginaw. We already have traffic coming down with the Temple. We'll be playing hockey there. What happened with the Dow Event Center? It's amazing. And I would encourage all of your listeners to go into the Dow Event Center. Look at what's happened in there. It's been transformed. And what we're talking about with the Memorial Cup is not transactional, it's transformative. Now they can bring in big acts. They can bring in acts that wouldn't come here before because we didn't have suites. Guess what? We got suites. Mm-hmm. We have a third level right now at the event center. They're already starting to book acts. Now that people they have no limitations on coming to the Dow Event Center, we only played 34 games there, which means you got 331 days of activities. That if we can't grow downtown Saginaw after this, shame on us. Dick Garber's putting $2 million into Hoyt Park. What that means for us as a community is we're going to be auditioning for Little League championships. We're going to have pavilions down there, new restaurants, new seats, new benches. The roads will be changed around in there. I mean, it is going to be, if you've been out to Saginaw Township's soccer field and all that traffic, we want to do exactly the same thing at Hoyt Park. Now, you tell me why we're not thriving as a downtown, because people will be coming in here. And maybe they have to stay over in Tittabawassee for now because we don't have a hotel. But, people love to eat when they visit sports events. And that's where we think the opportunity lies. I think this is really, and I'm not using hyperbole here, I think this could be a game changer. I really do. I wouldn't have done this if it was just about hockey and ticket sales. And Dick and Craig will tell you that. I said if this was transformative, where it was legacy building, I wanted to do it. And I literally parked my own business in order to do this. And it's been a ball. I mean, I when this thing is over, I'm going to feel really, really proud that I was able to participate and do something that has never been done here before.
Well, count me in, brother, because I'm happy to have my application for the food truck alley. Now, tell me about that, because that's really exciting as well. Yeah. And you've got to tell me what's going to be happening at the Jolt Credit Union Event Park as well every night.
Yeah, we have concerts every single day. Every single day. We have a skills for girls, skills for boys. We have ball hockey. We have the Hockey Hall of Fame, but the concerts are free. Also, for those people who don't go into the arena, we will be broadcasting the games outside on TSN, and that's Canadians' version of ESPN. It was the most widely watched event, the Memorial Cup in Canada last year, and it has been every year. That's how widely popular this sport is and this event. So we're going to be doing everything. It's going to be, I'm telling you, we're going to have fireworks. I think on the first night, I can't remember, a couple other nights as well. We have a headliner coming in, Walker Hayes, on June 1st. I'm not a big country western person, but everybody who is, they like him and they love him. So I guess it's a big name. But I would add Usher, but he's doing the Super Bowl. So, so but no, it's going to be, it's going to be crazy. Oh, by the way, Sunday, Memorial Weekend, we have Faith Day. It's huge. And Bishop Hurley Coleman and World Outreach Church is sponsoring that. So we're going to have Faith Day, all denominations. Bishop Gruss is going to be a part of that as well, too. So the Ezekiel Project. We're having everybody come down and celebrate. So it's just fun stuff. It's going to be amazing.
Well, I want to make sure that, my listeners also know that the games are going to be broadcast on 100.5 FM WSGW as well.
Yep. WNEM and you're right. WSGW have been major sponsors, and they've used every opportunity and resource to promote this as well too. I don't know anybody who's a part of this, Larry, who won't be enhanced and won't find a platform to get better with. And I think as citizens, as businesses, just as a region, we're going to come out of this thing looking really, really good, because I want it back again one year.
Yeah, definitely. And tell me about the food truck alley, because that's something that I'm interested in, and I don't even know where that's actually going to be. I'm assuming that it's going to be behind the Dow Event Center, but tell us.
No, it's going to be at the Jolt. At the Jolt.
Oh, at the Jolt. Okay.
Yeah, this going to be, Larry. It's going to be a complete, total campus environment. So we're going to try to keep, everything from where the chamber building is all the way down to Genesee Street. There'll be traffic, mind you, but we're really going to cordon off everything around Johnson Street, Franklin Street, right in that area where the event center is, so people can walk. It's going to be very pedestrian friendly. All of our law enforcement folks are participating across the county, so that part won't be an issue. But the food trucks will be housed right there, and we want to deliver that kind of service to people too. The Dow Event Center can only hold so many people and serve so much food. I think our food truck people are going to do very, very well with all that kind of traffic, especially with all that free stuff happening inside the Joe Park.
Yeah, and I want to say this. I'm really proud about the food truck industry here in Saginaw. And I go to other communities. I go to Pontiac, I go to Detroit, and they all have got their food trucks, and they're very good as well.
Yeah.
And I think what I find is that within the food truck, with the Latino food trucks, I should say, we're very supportive of each other. We really help each other out and all. And I think that that's going to be shining, when we are at the Memorial Cup as well. And I think any of them that are out there that haven't got their application in, please get it in, because it's coming up pretty soon. And, we want to make sure that you're a part of it as well. So, Big Pete's and TNT and, some of the other ones that are just, very good. And they have accommodated a number of people these last few seasons in the summer. We've got to all be participating in the Memorial Cup. And, I want to, say, how will Saginaw honor the legacy of the Memorial Cup?
That's funny because, if you look right now under the bridge, we have the Henry Marsh painting right there. We've got that mural that's out there on the parking ramps right now. There are a number of things that we want to do in order to, and those are things being worked on right now. I'd love to come back in March, for example, say the end of March, and share with you some of the things that are being developed right now. But there's no question that the city of Saginaw and the Memorial Cup will be embedded into our minds for a long time. And I mean, in a very positive way, Nice.
And tell me about the theme, actually, United We Soar. Who came up with that? And what are we what's the message we're trying to put out there to the community?
It's funny you should say that, because quite frankly, it's everything you and I just got through talking about. United We Soar. If you stop and think about this entire conversation entire conversation. And if you can condense it down to a simple phrase, that's exactly what we just talked about. Black, brown, white, region, businesses, nonprofits. Here's something that's interesting too. I have right now 42 nonprofits that'll be going to the Memorial Cup games free. 42. That's amazing. We have over 700 school kids in the city who will be going to the Memorial Cup. They can't afford it. They can't afford a $65 ticket. You and I both know that. And so that the idea that all that stuff is happening inside the Dow Event Center and they're outside and can't see it, that's a shame on us moment. Well, guess what? Not on me. Not on me. I got them taken care of. So when you look at the Civitan, when you look at First Ward and CAC and Child and Family, 42, and I'm not even done yet. I'll be damned if by the time May rolls around, if every nonprofit doesn't have at least some representation inside of that arena, then that I'll feel like a failure. But I'm not going to wind up being a failure. You know me, I put stuff out there and I do it loud so people can say, aha. But I've never been caught not doing anything. I'll put it that way.
Well, I think, like I said earlier, you're one of the greatest ambassadors that Saginaw has had. And I'm talking from experience of working with you, like you said, with the Christmas with Angels, as well as with the Leadership Institute and, just other things that we've been involved with. And it's always been a real pleasure to see you and out in the community. I know you and your wife were really supportive of our Saginaw Taco Fest. You remember that when we had the first one last summer?
Yes.
So, it's just a given that, I think they made a good choice with having you, Jimmy Greene, as the sales director, because when I saw that, I said, oh, right. Jimmy's going to do right for Saginaw. So congratulations.
They wanted somebody who doesn't go to sleep. That's probably.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, I have my producer in here, Jonathan Den, and he is, really involved with the news here at WSGW. And I want to know, Jonathan, what are you hearing in regards to your position here at WSGW?
Well, my position is also on the Saginaw Spirit broadcasts for their road games, and so I am very excited about this. No, it's definitely something that whenever there's a new piece of news, we love to hop on it. I love to hop on it because it is there's always something new coming out. There's always something more. I think the one question from that kind of perspective that I have for you, Jimmy, is there's been a lot of support from the state, from the county, from the city, from big businesses in the area. Dow is the presenting sponsor here.
Yeah.
How much more is coming? How much more is there left to do on that front of things?
Our legislators have been amazing. State Representative Amos O'Neill, State Senator Kristen Rivet, and Congressman Kildee. The whole STARS piece would not have been possible had he not delivered a lot of money in order to get upgraded STARS buses. So I don't know how much is coming now because, quite frankly, we're dotting I's and crossing T's. We do have some sponsorships that are out there, but for the most part, I think our community has already stepped up. Dow, man, people can say whatever they want to, but when it was time for us to win this thing, there's no Memorial Cup without Dow stepping up. It just is. And Dow made a business case out of it. They have Canadian operations. This wasn't just philanthropic. They saw the bigness of it. And I wish all of us could just look at it. And here's one of the things, even with the food truck, Larry, what's in it for me? There's nothing wrong with that. We're talking about 20, 25, $30 million coming in here. It's okay to say what's in it for me, because that's how we grow. We don't want anybody to just take it. Do something with it. Make it an ROI. We told all of our sponsors, what's in it for you? What's the return on investment? And that's what, even with the Dow Event Center, look at that investment our county commissioners made. And that's going to have dividends year in and year out, long after the Memorial Cup is gone.
Yes. And I just want to clarify, Dow Chemical, Jimmy's talking about, not the Dow Event Center, although they have really stepped up as well in what they're doing. But you were referring to Dow Chemical in Midland. And so one last thing before we go out here, I want to make sure is that if there is anybody out there, and I'm talking specifically to my Latino community as but everybody, all my listeners,
Yep.
is there, what are the ways, say, that you can get involved at this point in juncture of the planning process, or just in the future thinking about, okay, how can I be involved with the Memorial Cup?
Yep. Please reach out to me. My email is jgreene, Greene, at saginawspirit.com. I'm very easy. Message me on Facebook. I mean, I don't know anybody who can't find me or reach me. So please don't hesitate. Larry has all my information as well too. So if there's something you need on a volunteer basis, a corporate basis, whatever that is, just reach out to me and I'll make sure I handle it. I won't hand you off to somebody. I'll make sure I handle it directly.
Well, your participation on social media is astronomical, I'll say, because it some of the things that you put out there, especially on LinkedIn, is really what motivates me. And I know that you and I talked about that earlier today, and
Yeah.
that's what kind of led to this whole conversation on Mi Gente on Air. So I mean, it's really important that we take advantage of that as well on the social media
Well, I
platforms.
appreciate you. Our friendship has extended over decades, and it like I said, when you call, I answer, and I think that's a testament to the equity we have both with each other, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much, and the feeling is definitely mutual. And I want to ask you too, if somebody is say interested in attending the Memorial Cup and they really may not have the means, like say a large family and a lot of kids, that could be really difficult. Who would they contact? Would it be you or somebody else in terms of
I
tickets?
I don't
Time?
pass off. I don't pass off anybody to anybody. The same information applies.
Okay. Well, Jonathan has a comment as well, and I want to make sure that he's included in this because he's got a big role to play as well at WSGW Memorial Cup.
Yep.
I'm excited. So I'm going to ask you probably an easy question, but there's a lot of people in the city of Saginaw that don't follow the Spirit maybe as closely as some others, and this team is going to be playing in the tournament. They're going to be representing this community, this region. How well can the city of Saginaw expect to be represented in this tournament by this team?
Jonathan, and I'm not, again, speaking hyperboles, our team is as strong as it's ever been in 22 years. We are at the top of the charts now, we're ranked fourth now out of 60 teams. Our team has just come, I call them the cardiac kids, because even when they're down in the first and second periods, they always seem to find a way to come back, even though they're killing me. But it's a strong team, a team with great character, a great winning record. We're going to win the Memorial Cup. I said
All right. Well, we've come a long way when we're talking about 22 years. I remember when Dick Garber and a few of the other leaders had a press conference to announce that hockey was coming back to Saginaw. There was a number of years where there wasn't a hockey team after the Saginaw Gears and all. And I just can't believe that time period has gone by that fast, 22 years. And it's nice to know that, out of 60 teams, Saginaw's right up there in the top 5. So I saw something on that today and I was like, wow, that's really awesome leading into the Memorial Cup. I want to mention Veronica Jimenez. She's on here in the chat room. She says, "Thank you, Jesus, for blessing Saginaw." And that's a very beautiful comment, Veronica. Thank you so much. Yeah. And so, I really want to say to my listening audience out there, get involved in whatever way you can, whether it's you as a grandparent or as a parent, get your kids involved, get them motivated, because, typically hockey isn't a sport that Latinos are known for to be involved in. But I think that we have all this opportunity coming to Saginaw, and we need to be really at the table. Whether you may learn to ice skate for the very first time, or just never have attended a hockey game, this is the chance. This is your chance. And how do we get people who may want to actually volunteer to be involved with the Memorial Cup?
Yep, that's the same thing. We have a person, Mitzi Brown, who takes care of all of our volunteers. We probably need about 500. I think we're about halfway there. Back to your point, too, about skating. I mean, you don't have to play hockey to enjoy just the recreational opportunity. The ice skate at Hoyt Park. I mean, that That alone, I mean, we need to provide these kind of resources and outlets for our kids. Forget hockey, just having a recreational opportunity in the winter to do that just makes us all better.
Yeah, and I remember when I was young and very young, and Hoyt Park was the place. I don't know, Jimmy, you're not from this area as a child, but there used to be these big toboggan slides that were at Hoyt Park. And man, my cousins and we had a blast going down those things, and we were laughing like. And I'm sure if you ask any of them today, they remember that, and all we could do is smile because
Yep.
it really allowed us to participate in Saginaw at the Hoyt Park, whether it was even skating. I remember skating there as well, and sliding down the hills of Hoyt Park. I mean, it's just a wonderful place, and I know that the Friends of Hoyt Park have done a great job to bring that back as well. And I know Bridget's a part of that, and Larry, his name escapes me right now,
That's how.
but yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Larry, yeah.
Yes, and it's wonderful, wonderful to see, and that the warming house there as well has come back, and you can go there and you can put on skates. They have free skates for you there. I shouldn't say free. Sometimes there's a cost, but it's really nice to go out there when the ice is smooth and clear, and just you know think of the possibilities, and the possibility we have here in Saginaw is going to be with the Memorial Cup coming in May. I'm
Well,
so excited about it as well.
in closing, I'll just say this: there's something that black, brown, white, male, female, business owner, radio host, whatever that is, we all have a single responsibility, and that's to leave this place better than we found it. And I think some of the things that we're doing right now is exactly that, because it's the only legacy that's going to matter. Like we just sat here and talked wonderful about Henry Marsh. He's not here, but his legacy is. And as long as we do something, at least a little impact, so that people mention our names years after we're gone, means we never die. And this is an opportunity for us to maybe leave our own little mark.
Yes, definitely. And I got to say that the mural to Henry Marsh on the highway is just beautiful. You
Beautiful.
ride by there, and I try to go a little slower than what the speed is if nobody's
Me,
behind me, just to look
me
at that,
too.
take a picture. Because I knew Henry Marsh as well, and he was really a hero for Saginaw, especially
Yeah,
during the riots down in Detroit, and there's a lot of history there.
there
And
is.
it's a beautiful legacy that he has left as the first African American mayor of the city of Saginaw at a time that was volatile in the history in Michigan and in the nation. And
Yeah.
it's wonderful to see that is completed, and that it's going to be available to those that do attend the Memorial Cup, coming from all over, from Canada, from other different cities. So that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Jimmy Greene, for being with me here tonight. I think we have piqued the interest of many of my listeners, because that's
I'll come
exciting.
back.
This is
I'll come
really
back
this is
anytime.
really exciting for Saginaw, and I really want my listeners to, question themselves as to how they are going to participate, how they are going to attend, how they are going to celebrate, and how they are going to leave Saginaw a better place as well, just like everybody who's going to be involved. So thank you again, Jimmy Greene, for being with us. You're doing a great job as an ambassador as well as the sales director for the Memorial Cup that's happening. And can you just give me the dates real quick so everybody will know?
May 23rd through June 2nd.
May 23rd to June 2nd, 10 days where the Memorial Cup of hockey will be in the city of Saginaw. So everybody come on out, and thank you again, Jimmy Greene, for being with us. And adelante. That's all I could say. Move forward.
God bless you.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy.
Bye-bye.